In this video, I'm going to talk about grieving and what it actually means to grieve and patch up wounds, I guess you can say. In a logical sense, grieving never goes away. Wounds never get healed. They are just compromises in the space and time, and they always get brought up whenever. I feel like that deep down in the inside, when I grieved, my mom's birthday is about to come up. So it's why I'm making this video. Shout out OG, prayers, love her to death. And the reason why is that I hadn't got over her death. And it was hard in the first point, coming on the internet and being vocalizing about it and kind of like saying it out loud. I was very scared because people disrespect, the dead when, it shouldn't be like that. People have crazy times of grieving, whether it comes to replacing something during grieving. My dad got with a woman not even a month after my mom passed away, and that kind of swayed me the wrong way, because I'm like, what point do we begin to say like healing is enough? And that, I could see him kind of be in a position where, oh, she's gone for a certain type of period of time, or the new woman that he's with is gone for a period of type of time, and he's kind of like lunging for it, like he needs it the most. And grieving is a part of a process and an experience that I never thought I would have to go through, because it's valid for me to feel a certain type of way about this, that, the third, have type of compromises for how I feel about a certain type of subject. But I'm also understanding that deep down in the inside, I had to really sway myself into believing that love is harder at a certain type of point in my life that I got to keep looking forward to, regardless about how much I've lost or how much I'm not seeing. I try to break this karmic loop of neglect and not having myself in a certain type of energy of loving myself in a certain type of way. Grieving is harder than you think it is. It's one of those ways of realizing that it takes time, it takes journaling, it takes maybe therapy, it takes a lot of what you think that you don't need in order to feel validated for yourself. Friends will take advantage of you while you're grieving. If they know that you're going through this thing, they'll take advantage of you. They won't share it with you, but once you begin to realize that you've experienced loss, and once you experience loss, grieving is the point where you have to isolate yourself a little bit in order to realize, like, man, what I went through was traumatic, and this experience is only a one-on-one. And it may happen again. So now that I've dealt with it, I know how to move on from it. Losing a mother is one-on-one, like, top worst feelings ever. I think that was the worst I've ever felt in my life. I've never tapped into that emotional prowess in my life. I think beforehand I hadn't cried in the longest time. And after she passed, I found myself crying years on years on years on end. I've never been tapped into my emotions like that ever. But when I began to get into it, I was able to cry about certain type of things that I also was progressing, like my ex cheating on me on my birthday. A lot of the stuff that I began to realize while I was grieving is that a lot of these tears were validated. A lot of these tears needed to come out. They needed to flow. They needed to have a way of space, freedom. They needed to come alive, because at a certain type of point, I didn't feel alive. I was driving in a point of obsession with, I was a narcissist. I didn't want to run back to believing that I could have a valid reason for how I feel about a certain type of matter. But in that moment, when I realized, like, deep down in the inside, I needed this, it was like, okay, cool. Now you can digress and feel validated for how you feel. Like, understand, like, these things come with a precision strike, not because it was a precision to my body, but it was a precision to my mind, to allow it to be free, not from making it firm, but making it at a certain type of point where it was able to think and de-escalate the situation and not using it as a means to just be sad every day. Grieving is harder for people that have not experienced major loss. Of course, like I said, losing something that was one of one and I'll never get the experience, like, oh yeah, I had to think about, oh, she'll never see my kids again, or she'll never be able to see my family or my future family or the man that I become. And I'm sitting here saying like all these certain type of things, and it's only dissolving myself. When I really want to make content and start my new life, I'm doing it for the person that I needed to the most, or to show these other people that I'm grieving for that I can make it without having the acceptance from them, you know? Because grieving isn't a point of, don't ever think grieving is a point of learning a certain type of position in your life. Grieving, it doesn't have a set in stone time. You're not going to heal here, there, or there. Don't let these people tell you that within 3 years you'll get over a death. Or don't tell people that 3 years you'll get over a breakup. Healing is a process, and the mind can only heal on what you tend to do with your life. So if you go out your way and you're moving throughout life perfectly fine and you're going on and you have a job and a solid foundation, obviously it's going to be way easier for you to go out and find a new person. But if you're kind of like in this position where you have a solution to kind of isolate yourself, if you're like me and you kind of want to get away from society a little bit and try to understand yourself and kind of have a set reason for how you can get back in society and fluctuate without other people taking advantage of you, then you're left at a crossing road. Because yes, life moves on and people are going to tell you that, and things being sold and things going away and losing a lot of stuff that you hold in your heart is tough. But grieving is not the next day. It's not another day. And people aren't, the only reason you're going to understand your own grief is when you decide that, hey, this time for me to come out this shell. I've been in this hermit for so long, and I could be a snail within the shell. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could be a snail moving on a path in slow motion, and my process might be different than yours. But people think that we all are shaped in this own, we have our own space. We have our own reason for how we feel about certain type of things, whether it's that, the third. And we need to accept people for how they come while they're grieving as well. Grief is hard. Grief is a wound, and it's a wound that reopens. You can't just patch it up with a band-aid. Like, have y'all ever seen like a band-aid road, like how it gets rotten over time as you wear and tear it as you're running around? Like, as a kid, I used to scrape my knees all the time, but I realized that, I would put a band-aid over it. And each and every time I would go out the next day and I would rip the band-aid off and the wound would start bleeding again. And, it takes a amount of like alcohol to stop the seizing, but even that burns. So the healing process is a burn, and it's a trial and tribulation. The womb is always going to reopen. It's always going to need attention because it has to heal. And eventually, wounds turn into scars that you look at and you're like, man, like, this is a part of me now. I have to realize that I can't go back into that version that was left a scar for, because that version is a representation of myself. It's not because I feel a certain type of way anymore. It's different realizing that you have a certain type of quality for the reason that you want to live. People are always improving themselves. They're always taking that next step forward. They're always believing that they can have anything in their life once they begin to soothe out the brain, understand the mannerisms of the psyche, and realize that it's not anything that you can ever comprehend. It's only just a little bit of smidge that you just haven't healed. You're a diamond. If you grieve and you take your time with grieving, you're a diamond in the rough, because most people want to get this benefactor and this self-validation for how they feel. You don't benefit for just moving on and getting something and realizing like you use it as an excuse, or I'm grown, I'm a man, I'm able to move on with my life, and I'm able to begin to realize that as a man you can be emotional, bro. You don't have to, you can cry. Grieving is a point of being emotional. Grieving is a point of losing your feeling and being soft and coming within your feminine energy. And feminine energy is not because everybody has a certain type of energy. Everybody has a masculine energy and everybody has a divine feminine energy. Bro, which one do you want to choose with? You can fluctuate between the two, bro. You can be emotional, bro. And you're human at the end of the day. So relax and drop your shoulders for once in a point of time while you begin to see your wounds. And the more that you begin to dissolve yourself and realize that I'm accepting this equity about how I feel about the certain type of bond in my life, then I can be that. And it doesn't have to be any certain type of way, or you don't have to feel any certain type of certain direction of how you feel. Ooh. But that is the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoyed this. Hope y'all, begin to realize, like, grieving is not a point of view. It is just you not healing from it extremely fast. It's you literally discovering that all it takes is a little self-indulging time with people, time with friends, and experiencing that, like, sometimes people will take advantage of you while you're in this healing phase, and it's imperative that you understand that this bulb of dark energy that assumes within your mind and your brain when you grieve is not the energy that you succumb to, and you have very real reasons to subject yourself to a natural healing process. And don't ever let people tell you it's a time lap on this, because it's not. Live your truth, and you'll see it as such. But that is the end of the video, y'all. I hope y'all like and subscribe. Always, do it out of your own free will. I'm not forcing you here. I just hope that y'all can understand my words. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Have a good day, afternoon. I hope that, you get $1 million today, or you benefit in some type of way of abundance. And I'll see y'all in the next video.